glorify you, Jesus. Magnify you, Lord. You're worthy of the glory, Lord.
The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Last week we concluded with the fact that when the garments that you have invested in are established in righteousness, they will help you to endure what afflicts everybody else. And today we're going to begin looking at the sword. And one of the things that I want you to clearly understand as we go into this part, I have to be very careful in teaching this because I don't want you to take judgment upon yourself too quickly. Again, that's one of the reasons why you were hindered in times past, is because you never granted yourself mercy. But I also want you to understand that as we start to look at this sword and understand the sword and what all's involved with the sword, you're going to be able to see exactly how and why certain things happened in your life. But again, after you see those things, I don't want you to start beating yourself up. Because it becomes fairly easy and simple to do that once you start to see how you got off track and how you could have kept from being off track, and why God had a safety net in another spot that had the sword out that actually kept you from going farther than you would have went. So as we looked at the passage in Jeremiah, go with me to Jeremiah 52, beginning at verse 1, because we're still looking at relationships. We're still looking at the kingdom time. We've looked at the robe, we've looked at the garments, and now I want you to see the sword. And the reason that I wanted to start with Jeremiah, we are going to go back and look at 1 Samuel 15. But the reason I wanted to start out in Jeremiah 52 is because I wanted you to take note of something. See, one of the big things that gets us in trouble, that makes us think that things are okay, even when you knew they weren't okay when you made the decision, is because you think that because the judgment didn't come immediately, it must have been okay. That begins to be your thought process. Well, now you knew in your head you shouldn't have made the decision that you were making before you made it, before you actually acted upon it. You knew you shouldn't have done that, but you went ahead and done it, and then when you done it, the judgment didn't happen immediately, so you figured, must be okay. But I want you to see this passage in Jeremiah 52, verses 1 through 8, because in this passage it makes crystal clear of something very important. In verse 1 it says, Zedekiah was 120 years old. He was 21 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. Now, I want you to understand something, because I want to explain this again. So I'm going to say this again. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. So watch what happens when this starts to go on. It says, and he did that which was what? Evil in the eyes of the Lord. Now see, what you got to understand is some of the stuff that you do might not be evil in the sight of the people that you're around, but it might be evil in the sight of the Lord.
Amen.
And that's important to understand for this reason. Watch the rest of this verse. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord according to all that Jehoiakim had done. For through the anger of the Lord it came to pass in Jerusalem and Judah till he had cast them out from his presence, that Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. Now watch verse 4 through 6. It says, and it came to pass in the 9th year. So keep in mind, what year is it? It's his 9th year. In the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came, he and all his army, against Jerusalem, and pitched against it, and built forts against it round about. Now notice what happens. They don't come in and start killing. They come in and set up forts around it to where they can't go in and nobody can come out. So they set up blockades. Now remember, this is in which year? It's in the 9th year. Now watch. It says, so the city was besieged until the 11th year. So basically, for right at a year and a couple of months, he done shut it down. It was shut down. They started in the 10th month of the 9th year, and then, so that meant, so in that 9th year, you only got one more month, or 2 more months, 10th and 11th month, then that goes into your 10th year, so then going up to the 11th year, that's right at a year and 2 months. So a year and 2 months, it stays shut down. Nobody's able to go in, nobody's able to come out. So I want you to start thinking about a year and 2 months ago. Cause watch, I want you to see some stuff. It goes on, and he says, and it came to pass, I'm going to read verse 4 again, it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came, he and all his army, against Jerusalem, and pitched against it, and built forts against it round about. So the city was besieged unto the 11th year of the king Zedekiah. Then, and in the 4th month, so now you add 4 more months, so now you're looking at right at a year and a half. Right at a year and a half. It says, in the 4th day, in the 9th day of the month, the famine was sore in the city, so that there was no bread for the people of the land.
Wow.
Now there's starvation starting to happen. Fulfillment's not taking place. You know how you've been feeling in certain areas. They haven't been being fulfilled. They haven't been being taken care of. They haven't been being watched out for. You haven't known what to do. You haven't been able to move. He says, I've been setting up blockades because there was something that you were missing back about a year and a half ago. You didn't have the information. You didn't have the right information, so I shut it down. I shut it down. I set it up to where you have an enemy that has been keeping you from flowing in what you normally used to flow in. Now watch. It says, then the city was broken up, and all the men of war fled. See, you haven't had any fight in you either. No bread, no fight.
Yeah.